All right, all right, all right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, comedian Leon the Jokester, here for another episode on the podcast, the How I See It podcast. This is how I see it. This is what it is. All right, so today, we are going to be talking about a phrase that I coined, and I always kind of wanted to coin something. So today, I will be talking to you about the SCC. What is the SCC? The SCC is, drum roll, do 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 do. Sound like Wheel of Fortune. Uh, it's the subliminal comedy complex. Let's say it again. The subliminal comedy complex. And what this basically is, I had to give it a name because this happened to me in the last 6 years of my comedy career. And I kind of want to, share it with the rest of the world. So the SCC, the subliminal comedy complex, this is very, very important to know. I've been studying some things and I'm like, yo, I need to put a name. I need to make a name so every comedian in America has something to turn to when this happens to them. Okay, so the SCC, I say beware of the SCC, the subliminal comedy complex. This is basically saying you're not welcome. This is basically comedians saying that, this is hypothetical. I don't know what comedians are saying, but this is the reason why I created this subliminal comedy complex. I keep repeating it because I want you to get it in your head because you're going to use it again. Watch. It's basically, I'll give you some examples. I'll give you some good examples. Let's say me, I'm a headliner, right? I headline at comedy clubs. I headline at comedy, like schools, colleges, comedy shows, mega churches. If you don't believe me, you could type in Leon the Jokester. You will see me at comedy clubs. You'll see me at schools. You'll see me at mega churches. We've been everywhere because when I first started comedy, I thought that's what you had to do, but really you're doing a lot of shows in different places. So you can exercise and get better mentally and spiritually as a comedian, but also you're finding your audience. You're looking for the audience that best fits you. If you are a comedian that's always like, well, I got to go over here, but then I got to change everything up to make sense over here. Because I always tell people the same jokes you do at the retirement home, you're not going to do at the college. I don't give a care who you are, how talented you are. You're going to, if you're really, really smart as a comedian, you're going to write jokes that is geared towards the people you're in front of. If you go in as an unprepared comic and says, well, I wrote these 20 jokes and I don't care who's in front of me, this is what they're going to get. You're missing the whole point. And you're going to miss out on thousands of dollars because I'm going to tell you something. When you get in front of a middle school or high school, they're not going to be caring about orthopedic shoes, change my adult diapers. They're not going to know what you're talking about. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. So I'm gonna give you an example of this whole subliminal comedy complex. Is basically that I'm a headliner, and what's gonna happen is let's say there's 50 other headliners in Tulsa, right? I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So let's talk proximity for a second. I do comedy as a headliner. I can do 60 minutes plus. When I went to Kansas, Montezuma, Kansas, I did 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. I'll be honest with you, I prepare for 60 minutes, but if you're having a good show, that 60 minutes rolls over and you come up with stuff on the spot spontaneously. I mean, that was probably, I don't want to say my best show because I had other great shows, but that one's on the top 3. And so I say that to say this, that I'm well versed. I can go in front of any type of crowd and have a good time. It's not about, every single joke is going to be big laughs. It's about getting better, and it's about doing a great job wherever you go. Now, of course, if you're headlining, they're paying you money, and then, you probably do want to get laughs every 10 to 20 seconds. But For those that are still working on joke structure and working on how to write jokes and prepare jokes, I would definitely say, just keep doing shows and just keep getting better. The reason why I created the Subliminal comedy complex is for one reason. No one owes anybody anything. Okay. Nobody owes anybody anything. If God blesses me with 20 shows, he blessed me with 20 shows. That doesn't mean I show up with the Wu-Tang Clan of comedy. Like, hey, it's me and all the other 9. No, the executive director or CEO booked you. The nonprofit organization booked you. The mega church booked you. Okay. Now, if you're putting together your own show, then that's another story. Like if I rent out a building and say, I'm going to handpick the comedians, I'm going to handpick how many people I need at this show, how many seats, how many tickets need to be sold. That's a whole nother ball game. And we're going to get to that in a second because that's where the SCC really comes into play. So, one thing I've learned is that, a lot of people in America, a lot of people in society, a lot of people in the comedy realm, no matter where you live, there's always this subliminal message that's going forth without them saying names. So let's say, for example, there's a comedian that like meets you and they're like, yeah, bro, I like what you're doing, Leon the Jokester. And I'm like, I like what you're doing too. And then they say something like, we should do shows together, right? They say that like, we should do shows together. And then you get on social media and you see that they've done a show over here and they even handpick the comedians. And then you're forgotten, Leon. But a few weeks ago, it was, man, we should do shows together. Like, I like what you're doing. So that's what I'm saying. It's subliminal. It's basically a person saying, I'm saying this because you're in front of me, but I really don't, from my intentions are bad towards you. My intentions is not, I'm not talking about intentions on like harming someone, you know what I'm saying? Like arms and like abuse, violence, fights, all that. I'm talking about people are smarter than you think. People know who's who in their market, right? Like if I name 10 comics locally, I know the comics locally. And if any of those comics heard my name, they would be like, oh, I know who he is, right? Because I've been on the circuit for 6 years and I've been to all the different open mics. So like I'm loved and hated by so many local comedians. There's people that rock with me, they love what I do, they appreciate what I do. They like the fact that I don't let a disability of being blind in my right eye. I can see on my left. They said, like, keep doing your thing, Leon. Then I have other local comics from Tulsa that have messaged me privately, like, oh, you like God and there's no God. And, we should have ran you out a long time ago with your stolen material and your this and that. And we've been doing it longer than you. Why are you getting booked at schools and getting money and we're not? We're still doing it for free at open mics. So I got to deal with both sides, right? But remember what Christ said in the Bible. He said, if they hate you, remember they hated me first. So as a follower of Christ, I know that people are going to hate on me just because of the success that God has given me. Because I don't have a car to drive and start problems or issues. And that's never been my heart anyway. So where does that come from? That's the spirit in that person that says, hey, we don't do that Jesus stuff. You stay over there, we stay over here. But if we cross paths, then it's like, okay, you stay over there with the Bible. We're going to stay over here with the jokes and blah, blah, blah. So, you deal with all of that nonsense. The SCC, the Subliminal Comedy Complex, is basically when a person doesn't want to actually work with you, right? They don't want to work with you. And the subliminal message behind that is you will see online that, oh, they had a show over here. They handpicked 2 or 3 comedians to be an opening act, a feature act, and then they're the headliner. Then maybe a few weeks later, you see that they're going to do their own event. You say, oh, they're doing their own event. Let me see if they hit me up this time. Again, they call who they want, and that's totally fine. But remember, everybody has intentions and certain ulterior motives behind it. I'm just bringing it to the forefront that no one is slick. You know what I'm saying? Like but this is what I close with. I just want to close with this. This is powerful. If I'm doing a comedy event and I'm the headliner under the Subliminal Comedy Complex, I know who's headliners in Tulsa. I know who's feature acts in Tulsa, and I know who may be a good opening act. Watch this. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, I rent out the Looney Bin Comedy Club for an event. You know, I'm turning 40 next year, and I'm thinking about renting out a comedy club anyway. I haven't decided on which one. So when I do that, I'm gonna need an opening act, and I'm gonna need a feature act, and then I'm gonna headline. Because I've been doing comedy in Tulsa for so long, right? I will be able to know right off the bat who I will want. And then also under the SCC, the Subliminal Comedy Complex, I will know who I don't want because they may actually, the crowd may actually remember my opening act more than me. You see how that works? Now, this is a hypothetical example under what I created with the SCC, the Subliminal Comedy Complex. It's a subliminal message to say, I'm not booking that person, even though I know that Leon the Jokester may be a headliner. I'm not booking that comedian over there because they're a great headliner. My delivery is slow and my delivery is dry. So if I have an event and I book someone that is really, really energetic as my first 10 minutes or my feature act, my next 20 minutes, what I'm gonna look bad when I come out as the headliner and I'm like, yeah, I used to live in California. What's that like? But then the person that you booked for the opening act, they kind of suck. And you know that they suck. They think it's a great opportunity, but they should know by now, after all these years, they haven't left, nothing big has happened, they suck. And the reason why we say that in this example, right? This is an example. Anyone that's getting offended right now, that means that if the shoe fits, wear it. But I'm not talking about anyone right now. I'm saying that you have to understand when a headliner over an event books an opening act and a feature act. Opening act 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, the feature act 20 minutes, and then the headliner comes out for that 45 to 60 minutes. When the headliner is booking who's going to be the opening and feature, they're going to know, okay, I better have this person that sucks or can get a few chuckles for the opening. For the feature, they need to be pretty funny, but they don't need to be as funny as me. Then the headliner comes out with what they have. Okay. You would never see, and I heard Henry Welch, who tours with Mike Epps. He said this before. He said that there's been a lot of opportunities that he should have been on in Alabama, but the reason why he didn't get it was because he was so good at the time, and he's still good. Like, I still rock with Henry. Hilarious. And the thing about it is, it dawned on me. I saw that interview like 2-3 years ago, but it dawned on me like, man, I didn't think about that. It's not that the headliner is mad at you for being another headliner. They're thinking like this. If I have Leon the Jokester come out and he opens with 10 minutes and he's doing all kinds of stuff. He got act outs, he got characters, he got persona, he got all this stuff, right? And so at the end of the show, at the end of my 10-minute act, I may have the crowd thinking that someone is breaking into their car right now. Like, man, you better get out there. You better get out there before someone takes your car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I went out there, nobody was there. It was a Tesla. It was driving in circles. Nobody was in the car. We called the cops for no reason. Like, if you really, really put some jokes out there, you really, really are contagious to the crowd, the headliner in the back is like, I think I booked the wrong opening act. I booked someone that's crushing out there. And now what am I going to go out there and do? Dry eyes. Vicine is for dry eye. Did I tell you earlier I was from California? Patience when you're on stage. Did I tell you I'm from the bad side of California. I know you were excited for the opening act, but this is my show and I'm a headliner. You need to laugh. But I have no real joke structure, so you probably won't be laughing for the next 30 minutes. My opening act, that's all he cares about is joke structure, because he realizes that after all of the years of failure, that's how you trigger the 9 triggers of laughter. And then you add 13 more techniques of comedy to add to that. And that's the reason why everyone is falling out their seats, because he actually studied the game. She actually studied the game. That's my time. Good night. So again, you have to understand how this thing works. It doesn't really bother me, but I think what happens is that people are liars. I think that's what it is. And especially when you're talking believer to believer, like you go to church, I go to church, and sometimes you believe them before you believe other people for whatever reason, right? Brothers and sisters in Christ, Christ and sister in Christ, and brothers and sisters in Christ. You believe all of that stuff until you find out, are they really studying the scriptures? Are they really being genuine? Are they really, or are they jealous? Subliminally, people can be jealous of you. Oh, who is he? Who does Leon think he is? He's not going to share all those shows he's getting. I'm not booking these shows. People go to my website, leonthejokester.com, plug. When they book me, right, then I can say yes or no. When I got booked to fly out to Austin, Texas to headline, they sent me 35 pages in a contract. They said, Leon, you signed it, right? They added an extra 0 on the check, and I signed. I flew out there, American Airlines, nice hotel, room service, all that good stuff for free. Snacks in the fridge, they hooked it up. Went out there, did my thing. They even put a reference on my website. You got to understand, like, it's a difference between someone calling and booking you directly opposed to me renting out a church, renting out the Looney Bin, renting out the Tulsa Comedy Club, renting out a mega church, renting out a nonprofit organization, a building. There's a difference. If I rent those things out, then that means I have the power. When we talk about racism, it's all about power, right? So we talk about the power. I have the power if I rent something out to dictate who comes to my show, like far as like who's going to perform at my show. So when you start seeing people in public and they're like, nah, like, oh man, we need to work together to do shows together. We believe in God and we do this and do that. I don't be believing none of the stuff people be saying, because I know people are fake, bro. I see right through people. I don't even look at people as people. I look at the spirit that's manifesting in the person. If I've been doing comedy here for 6 years, you know what I'm saying? Then why haven't you, if you're supposed to be following God and all that stuff, why haven't you ever called, hey, bro, I'll come pick you up and take you to one of the comedy clubs with me. I'll pick you up, take you one of the open mics with me. Never called. They follow you on social media. Then all of a sudden you don't do what they say. You don't give them enough shows, or you don't give them anything. And then all of a sudden, guess what? They unfollow you. I told my tour manager that the other day. I said, someone's following me on Instagram, a comedian. And then because I didn't do what they wanted me to do a week later, it didn't say follow back. It just said follow. I said, oh, because on Instagram, that's how you know. When it says follow back, that means they're following you. And now you need to click follow back, so then you're following them. So he was following me, and then all of a sudden, I didn't do what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to, let's do some shows together, being fake. And then I hit the button. I went to his page, and then I said, follow. I said, oh, Subliminal Comedy Complex. He was operating under the spirit of the SCC, Subliminal Comedy Complex. The subliminal message that he's saying is that you don't want to give me shows. You don't want to help me out. You owe me. You're a black man. I'm a white. Come on, man. I'm not playing those games. And so now it's like, I tell you what, I'll grind and I'll do my own shows. I'll book my own venues. I'll do what I do. And guess what? I'm not going to call you the headline. I'm not going to call you the feature. I'm not going to call you the open. I'm going to call some mediocre people that cannot outshine me. That's what it's about. That's what they turned it into. I'll book two people that I know won't outdo what I'm doing. But if you call me, the only Black person that will be on your show, if you call me, you know, if I do the opening act for 10 minutes, oh man, you know what happens. I'm not playing games. I put 40 hours a week in with comedy every single week, 40 hours. 40 hours, bro. I don't give a care if I got to say the same joke 8 hours a day, but I'm going to make sure I put my best foot forward because I know how cutthroat comedy is. But one thing you're not going to do is sit up here and act like, oh, he don't know what I'm doing. Like, yeah, I know what you're doing. You're being fake. You're being fake. And you know what? You want to be a mannequin that stands up in the store that's fake? Yeah, people are faker than the mannequin. It's cool. Do your thing. But when you see me in public, don't look so shocked. Oh, Leon the Jokester, didn't even know you were here. Yeah. And guess what, Sherlock? This week, I'm doing a surprise pop-up. And I don't even know where yet, but it's going to be a surprise pop-up at an open mic. Because I'm ready.